Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the What's Choppin' podcast. I'm Alec Crouthamel, your host for this show. As always, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at What's Choppin' Pod. Be sure to look out for more episodes on Spotify and YouTube and wherever else you get your podcast. We got a big episode today. I'm joined today by Brandon Cooper from the Badger Notes podcast, another part of the Big Banter Sports Network. Be sure to follow us on all social media for the best Big Ten content out there. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that fun stuff at Big Banter Sports. So, Brandon, thanks for coming on today. How you doing?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Doing pretty good. Took a half day from work, so nothing better than a half day and chopping it up with a fellow about some football. So excited. Like I said, thanks for having me on.
Of course. Yeah, nothing better. So tomorrow, tomorrow. So this episode should come out Friday night or Friday evening. So tomorrow we got a big game coming up. Rutgers travels up to Madison to face off against Wisconsin. Rutgers is 4-1, fresh off a 52-3 win over Wagner. Wisconsin is 3-1 on the year. So how are you and the rest of the Wisconsin fan base feeling about how the season has gone so far?
Well, for one, I'm a huge fan of overreacting. It's fun. It's part of being a sports fan. So a lot of overreactions through the first four games for the Badgers, especially with the offseason. Luke Fickell coming in, just new blood into Wisconsin, new life into the program. They're spending a lot more money than they normally would. Whole new style of offense. I mean, excitement was at an all-time high where people were talking college football playoff, things like that before the season. And then the season started, and it's like, oh, yeah, this might take a little bit to get used to, fully get adjusted. It's a whole different scheme for all these players. Like, it's not going to be pretty right away. But so far, I'd say expectations have not quite been met, but the Badgers are trending up. I mean, we lost our I got co-starting running back the other week, Ches Malusi, to a broken leg, so that really hurts. But I'm feeling okay, I guess. We're feeling like in the grand scheme of things, like if I take myself away from being a biased fan, this is probably where the Badgers should be in the first year of the Luke Fickell era. So how you feeling about Rutgers this year? Jason and Dylan from the Badgers Notes pod we do, we're kind of hating on Rutgers. I had your guys' back. I think they're a good, tough team.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure most Rutgers fans are. I'm very happy with the progress that has been made so far. It feels like they have a real identity on offense and defense for that matter. The defensive identity was kind of already there, but on offense, they really look like, they're a Big Ten caliber team, which has not been the case the past few years. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to see. It feels like they're taking kind of a Wisconsin-like approach where they're going to build up the trenches and win in that way and just control the ball and win, just with controlling the ball, keeping it in your hands, make sure the other team doesn't get it. So I'm definitely happy with our progress so far. So I guess speaking of that kind of style, it seems like Wisconsin started to kind of get away from that in the first year of the Luke Fickell and Phil Longo era.
Yeah.
Would you say that, that kind of big man in the trenches thing is kind of moved away from?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Phil Longo's, we're running a complete spread offense, no huddle, basically. So a lot more plays than a lot of these guys are used to. And it's just, especially with the offensive line, some of the guys on the Badgers, like Jack Nelson, who going into the year is borderline first-round pick playing left tackle for us, struggled this year. I mean, he's still going to get drafted probably top 3 rounds, but you can tell it's been a huge adjustment for some of these guys who just aren't built for a system like that. And the offense has struggled mainly in the first half of a lot of games when they don't run the ball enough. And then in the second half, it's like, oh, yeah, we have Braylon Allen. Here you go. Here's 16 carries, and he'll get you like 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I feel decent about the spread concept. I'll probably feel better in a couple of years when Fickell and Longo get kind of their guys in the program who fit that offense. But to me, too, like we're spreading, like it's a spread offense, but we should still be running the ball 25 times a game when we have Braylon Allen. So that's kind of where it's gotten frustrating some games where he's only had like 2 carries in the first half. And this guy's one of the top 15, 20 tailbacks in the nation. That just can't happen. So kind of love-hate with the spread offense right now, but we'll see. I mean, they're 3-1. It's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, you mentioned Braylon Allen, and you also mentioned Chesna Lucy, who they lost to a broken leg. How has
Brutal.
it kind of been adjusting to that? Because it feels like they were kind of on a carry share, I guess. Even though
Yeah.
Braylon Allen is, like you said, a great back. How's it been like trying to replace Malusi?
Um, it's not going to go well. I don't. The guys they have behind him are like, I think Jackson Aker is going to be the new RB2, and I'm pretty sure he's a converted fullback. And then you get further down the depth chart, it's just guys who haven't played, who haven't proven anything. Not saying they can't be great, but they just have zero experience, and you're getting into some physical Big Ten play. Don't know if that's the best time to try and gain your experience. What I think what's going to happen is Tanner Mordecai. He's going to be the second leading rusher in almost every game at the quarterback position. He's probably going to set or break all his rushing stats for his career this season at Wisconsin, the way they're using him. So I think he's going to basically be the RB2. But we'll see. Maybe Jackson Aker will step up. I'd also like to see kind of old school Wisconsin, maybe some more jet sweeps, get the wide receivers involved in the run game. You're going to have to get creative, I think. So, but losing Malusi is huge. He was a perfect fit for this offense. Him and Braylon Allen were like, the old thunder and lightning. So it sucks. And I love Ches, huge Ches fan. So it really sucked to see him get hurt again.
Yeah, and then you mentioned Tanner Mordecai as well, coming in from SMU, kind of running a similar air raid spread kind of concept at SMU. How do you feel like he's adjusted since coming to Wisconsin and working with Phil Longo and Luke Fickell?
Not well. I'll just throw that out there. He's doing enough to win games, but we're hitting nothing downfield, and I believe he's still at 2 touchdowns on the entire passing touchdowns on the season. Not great when you're throwing the ball 30 plus times a game. So it's been a big adjustment period, but like I said, 3-1. He's playing well enough for us to win games, so it's hard to complain. And I think at this point in the season, like these next couple games, we're really going to see Tanner Mordecai, like how he's fitting in the system. He's got 4 games under his belt and off the bye week. So I think this game against Rutgers is a big game for him. But Rutgers defense, I like them. I mean, Rutgers were plus 14. Now it's down to plus 13.5. Thankfully, I got them at plus 14. But I'm taking Rutgers plus 14. I think this is going to be a close game. And I know they lost 31-7 to Michigan, but fuck, they played Michigan tough. And I was like, okay, Rutgers Greg Schiano's back, baby. They're physical. So, yeah, I like Rutgers plus 14. I think that defense is pretty good.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, where it seems like someone jumps the gun on the line, because if you're looking at that Michigan game, the line was 31. FanDuel kind of jumped the gun a little bit, put it at 31. By the time game time came around, it was down to 23. So it's funny how that works. But yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I was a Wisconsin truther as well going into this year. I thought they were going to go like 11-1 and make the Big Ten championship game and maybe even make a run at the playoff. But like you said, it hasn't exactly gone to plan. So we'll see how that goes from here. But yeah, I mean, how do you think this Wisconsin offense is going to fare against this Rutgers defense that has shown that they can really almost not carry the team, but really lead them to victory?
They can carry the team. I'll say it for you so you don't have to. They can carry the team. What really worries me, and the Rutgers, like their schedule hasn't been the greatest. I think anyone can admit that aside from the Michigan game. They're not playing the best teams, but you play who's on your schedule. Not their fault. They're only allowing 98 yards a game on the ground. And if the Badgers want to win, Braylon Allen is going to need to run for over 100 yards, in my unprofessional opinion. And then, 2, they're only allowing, I believe, 169 yards a game through the air. So, and with the Badgers, like, pass game, not struggling, but I guess struggling deep, struggling to hit the big plays, like that worries me. Because against the pass defenses only allowing like 170 yards a game, you're going to need to hit some chunk plays if you want to win the game. So I don't feel great. Like, I think the Badgers are going to win. Honestly, the over is 44. I think the over hits. I do like that. There's enough points in this game that'll hit, but I think it's going to be a really, really physical game. And I think, especially in the first half, you're going to see a lot of defense as the teams are kind of getting used to each other. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Like I said, I really like the Rutgers defense. The Rutgers offense does not impress me a whole lot. The biggest concern for me, I guess, for the Badgers is on 3rd and 4th down. Rutgers 43% right now converting on 3rd down. Not the best, but not the worst. But on 4th down, 72% clip. So I could definitely see anytime they're over the 50, them going for it on fourth down. If it's like 4th and 2, 4th and 3, anything like that, especially against the Badgers defense, who's not as stout as they were the past couple of years against the run and especially against the pass. But that's where it helps sorry to keep going here, but the one thing that helps the Badgers defense is Rutgers does run the ball 66% of the time. And the weakest part of the Badgers defense is the back end. So hopefully that negates some of it, but we won't know till Saturday.
Yeah, I think you brought up a really good point there with the 3rd and 4th downs, because Greg Schiano was definitely showing a propensity to go for it in those situations, like the 4th and 2, 4th and 3, obviously 4th and 1 as well, where you're in a plus territory, you're within the 40s, and he'll just run the ball down your throat and see how it goes and see if you can pick it up. So I think that's going to be key as well. So who's someone that Rutgers should look out for on the defensive side, whether it's on the line or in the back seven?
Hunter Waller for the Badgers defense, you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hunter Waller. This kid will be playing on Sundays. And I can call him a kid because I'm fucking 30. So, but he'll be playing on Sundays. I mean, I don't have his stats up in front of me. He plays linebacker. He'll play edge rusher, slot. I think he's listed as a safety. He'll play safety, cornerback. But he's got a couple sacks on the season, couple interceptions. Real big play guy. You'll see Hunter Waller's name or hear Hunter Waller's name on the broadcast quite a bit, I think. He's a hell of a player. Other than that,
so he's one of those guys that you can really put anywhere at, in the DB or in the box, have him play anywhere, and he'll make an impact.
Yeah, kind of like how some defenses they have, I mean, everyone calls it like a joker or whatever you want to call that.
I think another one's like the star or something.
Yeah, the star, exactly. That is another one. Yeah, so that's kind of the position he plays with the Badgers, and like I said, he'll be playing on Sundays, I think. So that's okay.
So yeah, so that's someone to definitely look out for on the defensive side. Did you have anyone else that we should look out for?
I can't say his first name. I have a hard time saying his name. Linebacker, Nujong Meta for the Badgers. He was 3rd team, I believe, all Big Ten last year. He only played 1 snap against Purdue, the last snap of the game. So it was really weird. He wasn't hurt or anything. And then the coaches came out and said, he wasn't suspended. We were trying some different things on defense. It's the 4th game of the year. Why the hell are you trying different things on defense and taking your 3rd team all-conference linebacker out of the game and then play him on the last play of the game? So I think he got suspended or something happened. But anywho, if he plays, watch out for him, Jean Meta. And then Thompson Jr. on the D-line is probably our biggest threat as like a pass rusher, probably the best player on the D-line. But he's solid, nothing like elite. I guess, what about you for Rutgers on the defense or offensive side of the ball? I don't know enough about Rutgers, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess on the offensive side, the first guy to look out for is the running back Kyle Monangai. He has really led the way offensively. He's had a bunch of great games so far. I'll be interested to see how the carry share goes, because Sam Brown, the 5th, he was a star as a freshman, had a season-ending injury. He was still kind of working himself back from that. Seems like he's back up to game speed now, so I'm interested to see how the carries will be divided. They also have a couple of other guys in that running back room. They legitimately could go 4 deep in that running back room. Wow. They had another guy who also got some big carries last year, moved to cornerback. That's just how deep that running back room is. So that's something to look out for. Another guy to look out for, I mean, obviously you got the quarterback, Gavin Williams, that can make plays with his arm and his legs.
Yeah.
Biggest key for him is going to be his accuracy. Someone to look out for in the receiving room is Jaquay Jackson. He came in from D2 California University of Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh, and he was a D2 All-American last year, and he's sprung off some big plays here. He had a diving catch against Wagner for about 60 yards. He had about a 60-something yard gain against Virginia Tech as well. So if Greg Schiano and Kirk Shiraka, the offensive coordinator, feel like we could get him with a big play here, and you mentioned that back half of the Wisconsin defense is a bit of a weak spot, maybe look out for him on a go, and he'll just go up and get it. That's definitely something to look out for. Yeah,
the defensive backs aren't great. Our best back, Ricardo Hallman, he's very good, but other than that, it's not good. And Hallman's gotten beat. He got beat like 3 or 4 times against Georgia Southern, pretty deep down the field. So, yeah, that's definitely a player to look out for if he's the the big play threat. So maybe I'll take his
Yeah.
over receiving yards. Fuck it.
Might not be a bad idea, depending on what it is. On the defensive side, I would definitely say look out for Aaron Lewis. He has the potential to be a game wrecker if he's not being double or triple teamed. But because of that, he's such a factor because the rest of the defensive line room is also unbelievably deep. They can also go almost 8 or 10 deep, honestly, and still be successful. You got guys like Wesley Bailey also coming off the edge. He's also someone to look out for. Isaiah Iden legitimately might be like the most physically intimidating football player I've stood next to in my life. Like he is a giant, and he's looked pretty good as well. Like Temple in the Temple game, they have a kind of a propensity to cut block a lot. The first play of the third quarter, they try to cut block on Iten when he was rushing the passer. He just looked down and like nothing happened. He just batted the pass down at the line of scrimmage. So that's also something to look out for. The three linebackers as well, Tyreen Powell, Mohamed Toure, and Deion Jennings, all of them have been in at least the top 20 in terms of Big Ten PFF grades for linebackers. They've all looked really strong, whether it's in coverage or in the run game. Max Melton's supposed to be our top corner, but he has shown a bit of struggles this year, kind of like Wisconsin's best cover man. Kind of shown some struggles here and there. Got beat a couple times, but hopefully he can have a bounce back game on Saturday. Another guy to look out for in the back half is Flip Dixon.
What a name!
I know, and
Flip
he
Dixon?
plays like it. He
I'm
plays
writing
like
that
it too.
down, yeah.
Yeah, look out for Flip Dixon. He plays like his hair is on fire
Wow.
at the safety spot. He actually transferred from Minnesota. He's a guy to look out for because he's pretty good in coverage, but he is really good when he's running right at you and he hits. So that's a guy to look out for.
I feel like
in terms of on defense.
He's going to be like a top 10 player for me after I watch this guy play. Flip fucking Dixon. Wow.
He is a ton of fun to watch. Definitely a guy to look out for in that safety spot. But I mean, I know I said that Flip especially runs like his hair's on fire. The Rutgers defense as a whole kind of has that vibe. Our defensive coordinator, Joe Harris-Samiak, who we also got from Minnesota, he has this mantra called the dark side. It's basically kind of like I asked Aaron Lewis about it during training camp, and he said it's kind of like a maniacal person, like a maniac, crazy person type vibe. And I think they really show it, honestly. They play like that. And Flip Dixon is I guess, the best example. He may not be the best player on the defensive side, but he is the best example of the dark side and what they're like.
Yeah, that culture they want, kind of what they're building.
Exactly. So I guess going back to Wisconsin, what would you say has been the biggest surprise, whether it's good or bad for you this year?
The biggest surprise is the defense not being good, because for the last 9-10 years, Wisconsin, if you play Wisconsin, you knew, oh, this defense is for real. Like, you're going to have some problems. And then this year is just nothing like that. There's not a single guy on the defensive line who you're like, okay, we got a game plan around this guy. Where in the past, you got like Nick Herbig, Keanu Benton, I mean, even back TJ Watt, even go back to JJ Watt, Alec Van Ginkel, like all these guys who played in the NFL for a long time. We just don't have that now. And as a fan, it's like, that going into the season, but you don't want to believe it. And then you see it, and it's like, this is just disappointing. And the big thing is they can't get off the field on third down. And that used to be, and Jim Leonard was our defensive coordinator. Third down was everything for the defense. A lot of 3-and-outs under Jim Leonard. So that's the biggest surprise to me, is the just lack of defense, I guess. Something we're not used to at Wisconsin. And then just seeing the whole offense change. Like, another thing, like, you knew it was coming. Everyone was excited for a new offense, but it's just weird to see. You're used to the Badgers lining up 8 linemen and a couple fucking tight ends who could play linemen and running the ball 40 times a game. So it's different to see. I love it, but that's kind of just shocking visually as you watch the game. But yeah, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment is definitely the defense.
Yeah, I know I wanted Phil Longo to come to Rutgers when they had the offensive coordinator opening, because he's a Jersey guy. He runs that spread air raid offense. He did it really well at North Carolina. So I know if that ended up going through, if going from the Schiano ball of control the ball no matter what, short passes, make life easier for the quarterback, going to everybody on the outside, get down the field, that kind of thing, I would definitely be surprised as well.
Yeah, did not know he was a Jersey guy. I love that even more. He's definitely in the waste management business with Greg Schiano. And Luke,
Yeah,
Luke,
definitely.
we're calling that Badger Notes. We're calling this the waste management bowl because Luke Fickle definitely looks like he might be in the mob. Greg Schiano is definitely a made man in the mob.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun to see, and I think we're starting to embrace that as well because they at SHI Stadium, during all the home games, we have a montage where it's like it's basically the Sopranos intro, but instead of like the sites of going through down the Jersey Turnpike through New York City, it's going through different sites in New Brunswick and Piscataway. It's a lot of fun. The students
That's
love it.
cool.
I
Yeah.
love it. It's really cool to see them kind of embrace that, and I think kind of all sports have as well because it feels like every sport has been using that kind of thing. So it's
Yeah.
really fun to see, and I think it starts with football, honestly, because they have that
Oh, yeah.
mentality. They
It's
have
gritty.
exactly. They have the jersey. Greg Schiano is the jersey guy
Yeah.
to have run your football program.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I was happy for every Rutgers fan worldwide when they got Greg Schiano back. I was like, yeah,
yeah,
good for Rutgers. Good for them.
yeah. I mean, back in the 2000s when the show was still going on, there were like commercials with the two of them, with him and James Gandolfini. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, he's back now, and if he really feels like he's got something going, so it's going to be very interesting games. Now, I guess we can pivot to what we kind of our predictions, what we think is going to happen in this game. I'll let you go first. What do you think we'll see in this game, and who do you think is going to take it?
I gotta go with my squad. We're going with the Badgers. Going 31-24 is the score prediction I got written down here. I think we're gonna see, especially in the first quarter, a defensive game. I'm thinking as both teams kind of start to feel each other out. And I say it every week, and they never do it. But besides against Purdue, I guess. But if Wisconsin wants to start hot and win this game, they got to run the ball right away and try to establish the run. Problem is, Rutgers has a pretty good run defense, so like it's just tough. Like it's going to be a great game. I'm excited for it. So it's kind of hard to how it's going to go, but yeah, I think the Badgers will score enough, 31 points. And then with the Badgers defense not being great, I think Rutgers is going to make some big plays, find the end zone a few times. But yeah, I think the Badgers pull it out 31-24. And I'd take the under probably in the first half. Like I said, I think it's going to start slow. But in the second half, I think it'll pick up, especially watching the Badgers this season. That's every single game. In the second half, they're a whole new team. So that's how I think it's going to go. What about you?
Here's how I think it'll go, and I think it hinges on one thing, and that's how much will Kirk Shiraka trust Gavin Winston to push the ball down the field with his arm. And I think if they do that, I think Rutgers can take this one, in all honesty. Of course, I got to go with my guys as well as you
Well, yeah.
do. My prediction right now, I think, is going to be 27-23 Rutgers takes it. Okay. And I think that they finally get a game. They finally get a game in conference play, at least, where they really force some big mistakes from their opposition. I think Tanner Mordecai throws 2 picks, and Rutgers takes advantage. Maybe it's bold. I don't know. I just feel like it's coming because against Michigan, they had some opportunities, just couldn't convert. They had some big turnover games in the non-conference. I think this is the game where they really show out. And I think they hold the ball enough. Wisconsin's going to make it tough. It's not going to be an easy win at all. I'm not expecting for my heart rate to go below anything, active at any point in the game. But I think Rutgers can take this one. I'm going to go 27-23, and Rutgers holds the ball just enough to keep possession and take this game. I think this is a statement win for the Scarlet Knights.
That's going to be key is time of possession. If they can keep the ball away from Wisconsin, that's easily their best chance to win the game. But like you said, are they going to trust enough to throw the ball downfield against a weak Wisconsin secondary? You can take advantage of it, but do you trust your guys enough to do it? So that'll be huge. But yeah, I'm with you. Time of possession is going to be a big indicator to who wins this game. That's a great point. So it should be a good game. Like I said earlier, I watched the Michigan game, and I was like, man, this team's fucking tough. They lost 31-7, but if you watch the game, it felt a lot closer than that.
Exactly.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good game to watch. Unfortunately, it's on Peacock, and of course, I'm sure Wisconsin fans have had their complaining about it, as Rutgers fans have. I'm sure they're not happy about it.
No one is. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but whatever. I get it.
The only people happy about it are the suits up in the Big Ten office or the whatever office.
They're laughing at all of us.
Yeah. But yeah, this has been a great time talking some Rutgers and Wisconsin. Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to plug before we head out?
No, man, I'm just a guy with an internet connection. I love talking football. So thanks for having me on. Had a great time. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, of course. So be sure to check out the Badger Notes podcast as part of the Big Panther Sports Network. Be sure to follow us here at What's Choppin' Pod on all social medias and all podcast platforms. We'll be sure to get some more episodes out soon. It's been a crazy semester so far as a senior student at Rutgers. It's been pretty crazy, but we're going to get back on that grind, especially with the conference schedule heating up. Yeah, thank you again, Brandon, for coming on. Had a great time. So be sure to stay tuned for the next episode. Be sure to watch the game, of course, on Peacock.
Yep.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, thank you all again for watching and listening, and we will see you in the next episode.